We talk about globalism / imperialism, because that accurately expresses what we're for. If we just say imperialism, people get this Avatar dances with wolves image in their head of, beautiful, noble savages who live on some island or live in some primitive place, who have no technology and dance around and are happy and free in nature. And then the evil tractor rolls in from the West and crushes their songs of peace. And that's not what imperialism is. And in fact, the main thing that people who break out of imperialism do is electrify and build and construct. Imperialism is not progress. Imperialism is about stopping progress. However, the left, since it's been dominated by forces, and we're going to get into that later, the left has come to believe that imperialism is a synonym for electrification. Imperialism is a synonym for economic development. It is not. It is the opposite of that. It is preventing electrification, preventing development, preventing construction. It is keeping countries in impoverished conditions. That's what imperialism is. So we can't just say imperialism, or people get this woke narrative in their head. It's an identity politics narrative. It is a noble savages narrative. Was it Voltaire or one of those French intellectuals who had the concept of the noble savage, right? It is this weird white man's burden fantasy that people have of, and it has nothing to do with economic realities. And so we don't just say imperialism because we're referring to an economic system. On the right, people say globalism, and they are referring to this system of globalism. However, if you just say globalism, you're not communicating what it's about. And people think, yes, it's these big bankers in the World Economic Forum who are actually Satanists and worship goats and drink their blood and are satanic pedophiles. And, what are they? They're satanic pedophiles, and they're all communists. And that's why we got to vote for Trump. And it's like they kind of know what you're talking about, right? The right are talking about globalism, and they mean big corporations that dominate the world, that corrupt the government. But they don't have an economic analysis. It's just kind of, they understand that the World Economic Forum and the International Monetary Fund and these big multinational bankers and corporations that fund a lot of environmental activism and fund a lot of the woke stuff. And, they kind of understand they exist, but their explanation of why they are the way they are is not rooted in economics. It's rooted in, some kind of sci-fi horror movie. And it's not to say that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a real person. He was. It's not to say that conspiracies do not exist. It's not to say that these forces are not evil. Do they not assassinate people and carry out conspiracies among themselves? Of course. But if you just say globalism, people on the right know what you're talking about, but they don't have any understanding of it. So we say globalism / imperialism as a way of pointing